Hello and welcome back to Fandomology, where fandoms collide. I am Paul, joined with, as he's calling himself tonight, Micah Prime, also known as Pacific 414, and Cash Money Tron. And for the first time in a long time, welcome back to Animation Friday. So we are back with Transformers Generation 1. This is kind of continuing something we had already started several months ago. We covered the three-part Robots in Disguise premiere, and so we're sort of picking up from there. But in general, back when we last were doing Animation Friday, I do want to address this. We had it set where we were going to switch between different animated shows just to keep the variety going. We will not be doing that this time. We're going to be focusing entirely on Transformers G1. We'll go through the first two seasons, then the movie, then season 3, and if I can find it, season 4. But with
Don't worry
that,
about it. I can ask Teletran 1 to provide that information.
sounds good. So, the 5 episodes we have for tonight are Transport to Oblivion, Roll for It, which that's a lousy name, in my opinion, Divide and Conquer, Fire in the Sky, and SOS Dinobots. So I think that I'll go first. I think these are a great block of episodes. Granted, it's still very early in the season, so we're still, getting to know not just the Transformers, but the setting. And we're still trying to, get a good sense of where the conflict is, where it's going. And I think these 5 episodes are doing a very good job of this, especially the last one with the Dinobots that we'll get into later. What do you think, Mike?
Well, these are a great group of episodes. I always enjoyed watching them. Roll for It, Fire in the Sky are my two particular favorites. That doesn't mean that I don't like SOS Dinobots. I do like it, but there might be someone else who likes it even more, and he'll be on the show later.
You will?
Yes. Once we get to
Who's
that episode, I will send out a communication to him.
okay? All right, yeah, that's fine. And did I not call it, guys? I knew Phil would say something about the windows.
Decepticon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me- Megatron, this is your doing.
good.
But anyways, Cash, what do you think? Phil says I'm not coming. Oh heck no. That's okay. I don't know. I honestly don't know who Mike is talking about. But Cash, what did you think of these 5 episodes?
I mean, Transformers is it's got a simple plot. It's fun. You've got the Mega Cubes, uh, Energon cubes. Excuse me, Energon cubes,
Hmm.
and that Megatron. He wants to rule the. He wants to rule Cybertron and then rule the galaxy. So, uh, it's
That
it's a great
has to
one,
be
man.
Coach.
It's a great one, dude.
I'm
Yes,
gonna
it's
I'm gonna
Coach.
try and do the voice. I'm gonna try and do the voice. Echo Base Network saying, "Me Grimlock says season 1 of Transformers is the best cartoon of all time."
It's a
And
great
hello, by the way,
one.
to Salty Traveling Sea, who says, "Wait, was there more than met the eye?" Oh yes, there was. There was.
Yeah. No, it's just that there's all the characters are just they're very interesting, and the fact that we've got Megatron and the whole Optimus Prime thing, and the fact that the Autobots don't like what Megatron and the Decepticons are up to. It's a good plot. There's even some good messages in this. Even one of the episodes, there's a kid in a wheelchair
Mhm.
who he's like, we need to find courage. Like those are good messages for kids and adults. So
They
this is
are.
just this is a great show. And these first 5 episodes, Dinobots, there's even some history about the dinosaurs. Wow, what a concept.
Yeah, that is true. Phil McCracken,
Yes.
break out the 9 irons if you want
Right.
to beat him.
Grand Theft Auto style there, Philly.
Yep. So,
Yes,
anyways,
Chip. Yeah.
oh, and yep, Chip is always a good
Case.
character. So, when we last talked about Transformers, sort of at least recapping how the Robots in Disguise 3-parter ended. It ended with the Decepticons trying to take off for Cybertron, but Mirage gets on the board their ship and sabotages it, causing them to crash into the ocean. And that's kind of
Mhm.
where the first episode, Transport to Oblivion, starts, where most of the Autobots think that the Decepticons are gone for good. Like, Ironhide says, "We sent them to the bottom of the sea months ago." Which,
Yes,
again,
but there is one Autobot who feels that the Decepticons are still around.
Yeah. And of course, I always got to say it, but Peter Cullen he gets all the praise, deservedly so, for Optimus Prime, but he did equally as good a job as Ironhide, and at least to me, that doesn't get talked about enough.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Good
Everybody
point.
always goes back to him being the voice of Optimus Prime, but they never really think about him being the voice of Ironhide, even though there were a lot of scenes throughout the series in season 1 and in season 2 where he's actually talking to himself as Prime and Ironhide.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Ironhide technically the second in command of the Autobots, or is that Ratchet?
Actually, the second in command, because he would be his lieutenant, would be Jazz.
Oh, that's right. I wasn't thinking about that. Okay. But anyways,
Even though there were episodes where Ironhide did take charge when Prime wasn't there.
or when he was duplicated in a certain season 2 episode.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna really be looking forward to getting into that. Yeah, Coach is right. It is. He agrees with you, Mike. So, anyways, we of course find out that the Decepticons indeed are not dead. They're still alive. They're just in their ship, which somehow did not get flooded when they crashed into the ocean. either way-
Cybertronian construction.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I want to say hello to Rod Priester. I don't believe I've seen you around here before, but if this is your first time, welcome. Make sure you like the stream and are subscribed too while you're here. And we find out that the Decepticons are still trying to harvest Energon cubes to send to Cybertron, but now that they can't use their ship, what do they develop? They develop something called a space bridge, which is this big portal that opens up in the sky that will suck anything up directly underneath of it, and it beams it literally up to Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Coach,
Shockwave's been developing it, and he contacts Megatron at their undersea base.
Yes. And Coach says that his favorite movies are the original trilogy, but his favorite show is Transformers. And those are great picks.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Bumblebee and Spike get assigned to go out and spy and try and find where the Decepticons are after this battle that they have at a power station where Ironhide gets pretty badly injured. And they get caught by the Decepticons and they get kidnapped. Bumblebee manages to escape, but his memory gets altered. And Spike gets kidnapped, and they're going to use him as a test dummy to send to Cybertron.
Yeah, because
the Autobots come in and save the day.
Yeah, and in the episode, the reason why Spike's being used as their test subject is because the craft they're using to send the Energon to Cybertron, without somebody navigating it through the portal, it doesn't make it.
Exactly. So, of course, Optimus and the Autobots come in, save the day, rescue Spike, and real quick, he asks, have you watched the movie yet? The 1986 one, it's been at least 10 years, but yes, I have seen it. And I'm looking forward to talking about that movie on stream with you guys because I have some words. We'll just put it that way. And by the way, hello
It's all
to
Hot
Leia
Rod's
Rose.
fault.
It's all Hot Rod's fault indeed. But overall, I think that is a good episode in its own right, and it's good also that it ties directly to the end of the 3-parter Robots in Disguise. And so yeah, it's just overall a great continuation of the story is really all I can say for it.
I mean, look at it this way too, Paul. Considering it's a kid show and it's episodic in its nature, to have some episodes of the series connect to the previous episode, that was pretty impressive, even for 1984.
And Coach in here saying, haha, not Snowman, Spike, Snowbot.
It's a good one.
I know that's a bad Jazz voice. And yes, Coach already said it. Phil picked up on it. I do sometimes go by the name PJ. I usually reserve that for family and close friends, which I don't mind if you guys call me that. But for the record, Phil, it does not stand for Peanut Butter Jelly Time. It stands for Paul Jr. I've heard this a million times.
Hey.
Yes, my full name is Paul Strassner Jr. So there you go. So yeah, overall, this episode, I give it a good solid 4 out of 5. What do you guys think?
4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. That's fine too.
All right. So I think it's time to go to our next episode. Our next episode is Roll For It. And one thing, again, that this episode that kind of bridges this episode to the last one, Transport to Oblivion, that I forgot to mention, is that at the very end of Transport to Oblivion, Megatron accidentally gets sent back to Cybertron through the space bridge, causing Starscream to assume command, in the way that he does, causes Starscream to assume command of the Decepticons. And this episode, Roll For It, opens pretty much immediately after that with Starscream in control, where he... which one was it? Thundercracker or Skywarp that was with him? It was Skywarp.
It was Thundercracker was with him too.
Yes.
All three of them were
Okay.
there.
Yeah, so it was Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, and Soundwave that were heading to this one power station to generate Energon cubes. I'm guessing, to still send to Cybertron.
Yeah.
But, Optimus and the Autobots intervene. Meanwhile, Megatron on the Cybertron end of the space bridge, he gets sent back to Earth by Soundwave.
Shockwave.
And, Shockwave.
Yeah.
Too many waves.
No, you got it.
Waves.
It's all right. Shockwave.
I know. Yes, Phil, I am a junior. But anyways, we get introduced to a couple new characters, actually one new character, and you guys already mentioned him, and his name is Chip, and he is a computer wizard in a wheelchair.
Yes. And as you notice in this episode, they don't focus on him being in a wheelchair. Like, that's not just his character. The guy is legitimately, this young man is a computer genius, which he even says in this episode. Exactly. Even in this episode, he says, we need to have courage. So just because he's in a wheelchair doesn't mean he doesn't feel he can't do a lot.
Exactly.
Chip is great. Yeah.
And think about it. You know how nowadays, people are saying, well, this has never been done. That's never been done as far as representing different groups of people. This was 39 years ago, Paul. And they're, representing groups of people, but they're not harping on it. 84 is when season 1 aired. I know because I was a wee lad of 6 years old.
Nice. So, and of course, Coach says this is the episode when Chip takes control of Prowl via computer by the internet. OMG, what a great
Yep.
scene. It was
I
a great
do.
scene.
It's cool. Yep. I like that one too.
But not only do we get introduced to Chip, we also get introduced to a new concept that he's working on as a project called antimatter, which is supposed to be more powerful than normal energon cubes, and of course Megatron wants it. So we get into the Decepticons kind of divide themselves, where Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, and Soundwave, they have to go and repair themselves, while Megatron storms where Chip is, or where the lab he was working in, rather, to try and steal the antimatter formula, but the head scientist sends it to Chip over the internet. And so he gets hunted down by Ravage, while Prowl gets taken over temporarily, of course, by Chip, as Coach mentioned. And this all culminates at the end, where Megatron literally ingests energon cubes that are fused with antimatter, transforms into his gun mode, and he becomes a super duper powerful weapon that can level entire mountains. But at the same time, he can only do this for so long, because the more that he fires off his shots with the antimatter, the more the antimatter heats up until it's set to blow up, which it does. So that I know of, this is the only episode that features antimatter, is it?
Yeah, as far as I can recall.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know if you picked up on it, when Soundwave and Ravage go to capture Chip, there is a particular scene where they're actually not using the vocoder effect for Soundwave, and you hear Frank Welker using his Dr. Claw voice when he says, "Excellent, Ravage."
Yeah, I forgot about
It's good, man. I like that.
I probably said it when we did the first stream, but I'll say it again. Optimus is always my favorite Autobot, but my favorite Decepticon is actually Soundwave, because of that cool synthesized voice that they do. Coach says another good scene when the brothers Sideswipe and Sunstreaker, very underutilized characters in my book, have a great scene fighting in the air. That's another thing too, that this show is the only show with Transformers that do, is that every single one of the Transformers, whether they can transform into a plane or not, have the ability to fly.
For right now, they have the ability to fly, but then as the series goes on, they make a rule that the Decepticons can fly and the Autobots can't, except for the exception of the Dinobots.
Right. Which we'll get to them here in a moment. But this is still an amazing episode. I'll be honest, between the Robots in the Skies 3-parter and the 2 episodes we just talked about, I know all of those episodes pretty much by heart, because we had a DVD when I was growing up of just those 5 episodes, and we wore that DVD out. So of those 5 episodes we've talked about so far, are probably this one's probably my favorite, and even still I love it. So easy 5 out of 5 for me.
I mean, it's great as someone who grew up watching these episodes when they first aired, to hear someone like you, Paul, say that you enjoyed it when you were growing up, even though you didn't get to see it in its original run because of those episodes being on DVD. You got to experience them for the first time for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And on that, let me go ahead and mention this too, for anyone that's watching this stream right now that hasn't seen this show, or at least hasn't seen it all the way through. You can watch all of these episodes for free on the Tubi app. Now, yes, for free, with the caveat of you do have to deal with ads, but it's still probably the best way to watch this show at this point. And I do believe some, but not all, of the episodes are also uploaded for free on YouTube on the Hasbro channel, right?
I believe they have all of them from season 1 all the way to the 3 episodes of season 4.
Let's look this
and
up.
those
real
3
quick.
episodes were Rebirth. Parts 1, 2, and 3 for season 4. And the reason why you only got those 3 is because sales of the toy line were going down because of what happened in Transformers the movie, so kids weren't that interested. Why? Because Optimus Prime was killed.
Yep. So yeah, I found all of the episodes on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and put a link to that in the chat for anyone that has not seen at least all of them. So
Yeah, and Coach is right. They also stream G.I. Joe 24/7.
Yes, they do.
that's a future Animation Friday right there, because that truly is, like, I'll put it to you this way. The only thing that I truly was familiar with G.I. Joe was the 2 live action movies, and that's it.
Well, I mean, depending on how old you are, it's understandable. And, with you being your age, it's completely understandable why you're only familiar with the 2 G.I. Joe live action movies as opposed to the animated series that have come out for the property.
I know, Coach. I want to see, I want to see the original show, and see what Cobra Commander really is like. I mean, the live action movies were, at least from what I can remember, because it's been forever, they were okay, but I didn't. They just weren't my thing at the time. And I do fully believe that the first of the live action G.I. Joe movies is better than the second one, even though it has The Rock.
Even with The Rock, the movie wasn't that good.
Yeah. By the way, Rod Priester says childhood memories, loved watching that stuff. Oh yeah. See, it's funny. Every generation, just to kind of get off on this rabbit trail for a moment, every generation has had some form of Transformer show that they grew up with. I actually had 2. This show, of course, Mike, you grew up with it. Cash, you grew up with it. Coach, you grew up with it. My dad grew up with it. Whereas I grew up, do I still have it in here? Yes, it's right here. I grew up, and yes, this will be a future Animation Friday. I grew up with this Transformers show, which
Armada.
I love this. I had just about every Transformer growing up on both sides of the Autobots and Decepticons. I wish I still had them, and I'm sure that.
Hey, you want to know something interesting about Armada? In the first episode, they actually did put in 2 G1 characters in one of the opening scenes.
I'm sorry, I was laughing at what Phil said.
No, I see it.
I'm sorry, Phil, but given the choice between the G.I. Joe live action movies and Caddyshack 2, I'm taking the G.I. Joe live action movies.
Same here.
Any day. I mean, do we really need a repeat of this? Because I am angry. And I'm angry with this gentleman right here because he tricked me into watching a terrible movie.
I tried to warn you. I tried to help
you. We told you.
That was Phil Scream. You hear that laugh?
Yes,
a laugh of
I
a
do.
Decepticon.
And Phil says, "Hey, Junior, I'm not Indiana Jones. Can you play the theme to Transformers on guitar?" Not off the top of my head. I'd have to sit there and learn it. But anyways, I don't believe you, Mike, gave your ranking for Roll For It. I gave it a 5 out of 5.
I'm going to give Roll For It a 4.
Okay. And Cash is currently AFK, so we'll get his ranking later. Let's go ahead and move on to the next episode. Divide and Conquer. And with this one, Rod Priester says they should have never gone back to the shack. Agreed. With this one, we get the return of Chip Chase, where he's now working with weapons manufacturers to help mankind build weapons to counteract the Decepticons, which I do remember actually was something of a plot point that they took for the third of the Bayformers movies, Dark of the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only were they building weapons for them, but they were training human soldiers how to take down the Decepticons.
Yeah, and also, you know, I'm sure you've seen the episode before, Paul. I know we're not talking about it tonight, but the Ultimate Doom. They took part of that episode's premise and put it into Dark of the Moon.
Right. Which I have seen the Ultimate Doom before. The one where they basically teleport all of Cybertron into Earth's atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, hello to Crit, who says G.I. Joe first movie is guilty pleasure. They at least got Snake Eyes' origin correct. Complain all you want, nothing is worse than Cash's favorite movie, Snake Eyes. Cash is lucky he's AFK right now, Crit, but I'm sure you'll remind him. But anyways, Chip is helping build weapons for mankind to help fight the Decepticons, when, of course, who attacks but the Decepticons? And so the Autobots show up after Chip puts out an SOS, and there's a big fight. And oddly enough, Megatron's actually not there for the fight. He's sort of just commanding Starscream and the other Seekers from the base. And Starscream and the Seekers actually get lucky enough to severely injure Optimus Prime. Like, he's outright dying.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this one part that they need to replace within Optimus's systems. Otherwise, he's going to die. It's just that part is on Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
And so the team of Bumblebee, Wheeljack, Sunstricker, and Ironhide, along with Chip, they go and hijack the space bridge from the Decepticons and bridge up to Cybertron. So for the first time in the show, we have a human going to Cybertron, which, how he's able to breathe in, at least as far as I know, a planet that doesn't need an atmosphere because Transformers don't need oxygen. It's just one of those things that's kind of funny, you know?
Yeah, but you also look at it like this. It's an animated kids show, using logic as far as, being able to breathe on Cybertron's atmosphere. You kind of just toss that out the window. And another thing about this episode is when Optimus Prime gets shot, because this has been debated ever since Transformers the movie came out. Well, why didn't we see the Matrix of Leadership come out? It's because they haven't thought about it yet.
True. So yeah, seeing... And another thing that I really liked about that scene is the Seekers that stayed behind on Cybertron. They still look like futuristic shuttlecrafts instead of like outright, F-18s, because they hadn't scanned in the vehicles yet. I like that attention to detail. But what was really cool is that they used a new type of attack where they fired their guns up into the sky to create acid rain. And they nearly killed, the Autobots that were on Cybertron at that time. But it's here that Chip gives that speech that you guys are talking about, talking about how they need to have courage despite being disabled.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's truly disabled if they have courage, is what Chip pretty much tells them. Exactly. As long as they have courage.
That is true, and that's something you can apply even to, normal everyday life. Like, let me just find something real quick. So there's this one. I just randomly looked this up, and this is a guy who is a bodybuilder. And let me find a good place to put it. Okay, so this is a guy who is a bodybuilder that is confined to a wheelchair. Just have a quick watch.
College.
This.
I was thinking, I wonder if they have bodybuilding for people in wheelchairs. So I Googled it, and I barely found anything. And I was like, oh, there's a show. It's the 2006 NPC Wheelchair Nationals. I was like, I'll just compete. I don't know nothing about bodybuilding, but hey, I'll figure it out. So that's what I did.
There you go. There's a great example right there of having the courage to go out and better yourself physically despite being confined to a wheelchair.
Don't ever let somebody tell you can't do something.
Yeah. And if you don't mind me bringing it up, Mike, even, within your own life.
Yeah. I've had people tell me, oh, you can't do that because of my cerebral palsy. And I've been able to prove people wrong and show them that there are things I can do.
Yeah.
Don't look at me and then automatically put limits. Nobody wants that. Even if you don't have a disability. Don't automatically assume that, say you're not capable of doing something. Cash isn't capable of doing something. Someone in the chat isn't capable of doing something. Because you don't know that person. You don't know their determination. Their courage, if you will.
Exactly. So, again, it's just a great example of how, yes, this is a kids show, but it's still teaching lessons that are even applicable to us adults.
Yeah,
that was one of those stipulations too of getting these shows on TV that were geared towards selling the toys. Was okay, if you're gonna do this, you still have to have educational messages in there, something for the kids to think about.
Exactly.
And it's not just the PSAs at the end of the episodes either.
Yeah, those are good. And by the way, Crit, no. You have to tell me, do you secretly work for CNN? Just be honest. That's some CNN mental gymnastics there. Excuse me.
Yes. So ultimately, Chip and the Autobots are successful. They manage to get Optimus the part that he needs to get repaired just in the nick of time, because the Decepticons are in the middle of launching a full-out siege on the Autobot headquarters. And I like how you literally see Optimus stand up on top of a mountain like he's Superman right at the perfect moment, because let's be honest, if the Transformer race had a superhero, it's Optimus Prime. Am I right?
It is. It's absolutely correct, Paul. I mean,
yes.
You look at Superman, and what are his colors? Red and blue. What are Prime's colors? Well, look at the Avatar, red and blue. Optimus is the hero. Optimus was a hero to many kids. That's why they took it so hard when, spoiler alert, he was killed in Transformers the movie. Because he was a hero.
Yeah, he was.
And you also have to give credit to the fact that Peter Cullen gave him a voice that was kind enough to be gentle, but strong enough to be a leader.
Exactly.
And I'm paraphrasing what Peter Cullen himself has said about the advice that his brother Larry Cullen gave him when voicing the character.
I'm looking up, by the way, just real quick, the actual quote on that. Here, so from Wikipedia, he says, Cullen recalls auditioning for the role of the robot superhero Optimus Prime at a casting house in Burbank, California. explaining that as he read Prime's character breakdown, he saw that it was the opportunity of the year and heeded his brother Larry's advice, saying, Peter, don't be a Hollywood hero. Be a real hero. Real heroes don't yell and act tough. They're tough enough to be gentle, so control yourself.
Yep. And that's good advice. And one of the things that they actually did, I know we're not talking Transformers Prime, we're talking Transformers G1, but when
Right.
Peter Cullen's brother Larry passed away, they
Hmm.
did dedicate an episode of that series to Peter Cullen's brother.
I'm sure.
That's really nice.
And it's well deserved. And
Mhm.
honestly, that quote, it's great. It's honestly a far more eloquent way of saying speak softly but carry a big stick.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cash, you were AFK when we gave our final ranking for the other episode. Roll for it. What is your score out of 5 for that one?
I don't know. It's like 4 out of 5. I enjoy all these episodes. They don't make me feel bad.
Okay, fair enough. So for this episode, Divide and Conquer, I'm going to give this one also a 4 out of 5. I don't think it's quite as strong as Phil says, don't use a stick, Paul. You'll put your eye out. Oh, you don't have to worry about me using a stick. All you have to worry about is me using, as you call it, this $700 glorified flashlight.
Oh, it's $700 now. Oh, okay.
I mean, when you consider shipping, rounded up.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's still a good episode, just not quite, at least to me, as good as Roll For It. Mike, what do you think?
I can see where you're coming from, and I'm still giving this episode a 4 out of 5.
Yes. So with that, and Cash, you already said 4 out of 5, I believe. We'll go ahead and move on to the next episode. Fire in the Sky. And we get introduced to, for the first time, to, as he's known in this episode, Skyfire, but they later change his name. Okay, so
Okay.
we
Let
know him
me
as
help you out.
Jetfire.
We know him for the toy itself as Jetfire, while
Yes.
in the series it's Skyfire. Basically, I can't remember the name of the company, but it's a legal battle that Hasbro has had for many years with this one company about licensing the Macross action figure. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the terms of the agreement was that they couldn't use the actual Macross figure as the animation model, even though there is evidence out there that they originally were going to because of this lawsuit. So they had to redesign the character in some aspects, and it's a whole convoluted thing where the show calls the character Skyfire, but the toy is called Jetfire. Of course, in later series, the character is called Jetfire, just like in Armada, Energon, and I believe it was Cybertron, if I'm not mistaken.
And the game War for Cybertron.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely confusing. Personally, I think Jetfire is a far better name than Skyfire. But that's neither here nor there. So the premise of this one is that the Decepticons are tapping into the very heat of the Earth, geothermal heat, to generate their energon cubes, which is causing complete global cooling, which is causing snowstorms in the middle of July in the desert. And so, of course, the Autobots have to try and stop them. But what's interesting is we get some very significant character development for Starscream with the introduction of Skyfire, because we find out that both, before the Autobot Decepticon Civil War, that both Skyfire and Starscream were once explorers. that work together to go out and explore other planets. And, all those millions of years ago when Earth was still in prehistoric times, Skyfire and Starscream happened upon Earth, and Skyfire got caught in an Arctic wind and crashed and was encased in solid ice. And so now here he is waking up thinking Starscream is still his friend, and Starscream acts friendly to him, and you can see that he genuinely cares about this guy, which is completely different from what we had been used to of him before.
Well, he's trying to give Skyfire this false sense that, yeah, we're still friends. Yeah, I'm still the same guy. And then you come to learn that Starscream, in typical Decepticon fashion, is deceiving him.
Yes.
Exactly. And they also play up really, really well the internal conflict with Skyfire, because when he first wakes up, yeah, he's like, okay, yeah, I'll go with my friend Starscream and sign up and be a Decepticon. But then when it comes time to actually harm the enemy, especially the humans,
yeah, Spike and Spark do it.
Yeah, I'm a scientist, not a soldier. Just like I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer, Jim.
Well, he's even in this kids show, there's that internal conflict with Skyfire. He's going, this isn't right. What we're doing here isn't right. Why are we doing this?
Exactly.
Yes, he's a scientist, so he doesn't agree with what's going on. He doesn't understand why would we hurt these creatures or these humans.
So ultimately, Starscream betrays him because he's not willing to, do the dirty deeds of the Decepticons. And that ends with Skyfire switching sides, and he starts fighting alongside the Autobots. We even see him change his emblem. And this ultimately culminates in a sort of one-on-one aerial battle between Skyfire and Starscream, in which Starscream wins the fight, but Skyfire is able to sacrifice himself to ultimately shut down the Decepticons' sort of geothermal mining operation. And sadly, he dies.
Or does he?
Exactly.
I was hoping you'd say that. But anyways, at least as of now, he's dead. So this was an absolutely amazing episode, and learning, getting a little bit more depth to the character of Starscream, seeing another dimension to that sniveling little coward that's power hungry was really, really great to see. And so this is an easy 5 out of 5 episode for me.
This was one of my favorite episodes from season 1. I used to rent Transformers VHSs from the local library in my area when I grew up in California. And every time I saw that it was in, I would rent it. And my mom would say, you've already seen this, but I like it. So I would always rent it. I would always watch it because I just love seeing this character of Skyfire go through this, go through this saga that he's going through where, hey, wait a minute. What you are doing, that's not right. And you want us to kill these humans? That's still not right. He has that internal conflict. He knows right from wrong. He knows what's going on isn't right with what Megatron wants the Decepticons to do. Even when he gives the order to Skyfire to destroy Optimus Prime, and he says, I take no orders from you. I'm an Autobot now.
Exactly. And it's funny, in the game War for Cybertron, they do a very, very similar exchange of this. Well, it's not quite so similar, actually. It's more of a what if in that game, Jetfire, as he's called, was actually there on Cybertron for the initial outbreak of the Civil War, where yes, he's initially a partner of Starscream as they're both working together to guard this one station that's housing the research for Dark Energon. And Jetfire, you know, Megatron gives him the chance to join the Decepticon, you know, same as he does with Starscream. Starscream, of course, accepts. Jetfire does not. So, kind of similar. And I think that's kind of how it would play out if Skyfire hadn't crashed on Earth. He would have eventually, I think, yeah, he might have, you know, sided with the Decepticons at first to be with his friend, but he would have seen the wrong they were doing and swapped sides. Heck, might have even tried to take Starscream with him, which we all know that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. I mean, you think about the history of these characters and how in the comics they were written a certain way, in the animated series they were written a certain way, but there is one thing that they had in common. Eventually, Skyfire, Jetfire would switch sides from the Decepticons to the Autobots.
Yeah.
Because that's where his spark.
This just hit me. They even use that plot point in Bayformers, in Revenge of the Fallen, where, you know, the humans are in the Udvar Hazy Air and Space Museum, and they come across the SR-71 Blackbird, which is in this universe Jetfire. And he starts out, yes, as a Decepticon, but he switches sides to the Autobots, and then we get the tradition of Optimus and Jetfire combining so that Optimus can fly.
Although that tradition didn't come until, I believe it was Armada, or maybe it was Cybertron or Energon, because it's not a feature that you see in G1, and a lot of it could be because, well, how the toys were engineered back then.
True. As of this time, and I know they're not going to appear in this block, but they're coming soon, that I know of, the only Transformers that can combine together is Reflector, who I just remembered. Reflector can become the camera, and then the Constructicons all become Devastator.
Yeah, and you'll find in this G1 series, you know, whether it's season 1 or season 2, the origins of the Constructicons change depending on what the episode needs. I mean, in season 1, Megatron says a line where the Constructicons were worth the time they spent building them in these caves on Earth, and then in season 2, The Secret of Omega Supreme, you find out a different origin.
So yeah, like I said, this is just an amazing episode. However, the next episode, in my opinion, is just that much more better. And real quick, Phil says the Insecticons ruled. Yes, they did. So the last episode we're going to talk about, and hold on a second, we just lost Mike. And
read what he says in the chat.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. But the last episode we're going to talk about tonight is SOS Dinobots. So this is where we get introduced for the first time to the Dinobots, them being, at least for now, Grimlock, Slag, and Sludge. I know that 2 more joined them later, one of them being a pterodactyl type dinosaur, but for now we just have Grimlock the T-Rex, Slag the... Okay, I always get it mixed up which one Slag and Sludge are. Slag is the Brontosaurus, right? And then Sludge... Hold on a second. Someone just came back in. Did I bring you in too soon?
Too soon. Too soon.
Sorry.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's another thing too. The fact that you've been humming it this whole stream. That this show has such. Yes, they overuse it, but it's still such good, memorable music, isn't it?
Yeah, but it works for scenes. It's just it makes
Exactly.
sense. So. Mhm.
All right, he's ready. Let's bring him in. The big
Me,
super
Grimlock,
fan.
love this episode. It introduces me, Grimlock. This is the best episode of all Transformers.
Exactly. Now, help me out here. Obviously, Grimlock is a T-Rex, but is it Slag that's the Brontosaurus and Sludge is the Triceratops? Or is Sludge the Brontosaurus and Slag is the Triceratops?
Slag Triceratops and Sludge Dumb Brontosaurus. But me,
Okay.
Grimlock leader.
Yes. So how did the Dinobots come to be? Well, the Autobots were, I guess you could say, doing some renovation on their base, and they were drilling through this one wall in the cave, and they opened up this entire room that was just littered with dinosaur bones. And so after scanning the bones, Hound is able to create sort of a visual simulation of what the dinosaurs would have acted like. And I like what Jazz says. He says, "Dinosaurs, eh? They must have been ugly suckers."
Me, Grimlock, not ugly. Me,
Yeah.
good looking.
Yeah, don't-
Phil McCracken saying Insecticons rule. Dinobots rule, Phil McCracken. Not Insecticon.
Agreed.
Yes. So, anyways, one of them, I think it was Jazz, but I can't remember. Just says off the cuff, "Hey, what if we had some dinosaur Autobots?" And then Wheeljack, comes up with the idea. You know what? Yes, let's do that. I can build them. And, excuse me. And Optimus gets their permission, and so Ratchet and Wheeljack work together and build the Dinobots. Now, initially, they build the Dinobots with incredibly, incredibly primitive, at least by Cybertronian standards, primitive brains.
Are you saying me, Grimlock, stupid? Me, Grimlock, not stupid.
Well, forget what I'm saying. Phil is saying you don't want to rumble with Rumble, Mike.
Who's this Mike? Me, Grimlock, Dinobot leader.
So yeah, basically the Dinobots go out of control, and it takes the entire team of Autobots to get them back under control, with Optimus even at one point saying, "I've had enough of this. The Dinobots have to be destroyed. They're too big of a threat." Thankfully,
It's because Optimus is afraid of me, Grimlock. Me, Grimlock's stronger than Optimus.
yeah. But anyways, Wheeljack is able to intervene and just deactivate the Dinobots temporarily. And sadly, they get sealed back into that room that they had opened in the cave. For now.
I did not like that cave. Creepy, dark. Grimlock was alone. Slag and Slug weren't helping.
And I heard that there was a certain troll in there that was bothering you named Phil McCracken.
No.
He kept going on about Caddyshack 2.
Oh no.
And let me guess, he was also bugging you with this question.
Excuse me, I'd just like to ask a question. What does God need with a starship? I said, what does God need with a starship?
Jim, what are you doing? I'm asking you a question.
Star Trek V, dumbest movie me, Grimlock, ever seen.
So, anyways, getting back to the episode, while all of this is going on, the Decepticons launch a attack on this hydroelectric generator again to make energon cubes. And during, while this is going on, the Autobots get notice of this, and all of them except for Bumblebee, Ratchet, and Wheeljack go to face them down, and they get captured, and they take a tumble into the water, which weakens them, and they get bound up against the wall with these, I guess, energon chains or something like that. And I have to mention probably one of the worst errors in animation, coloring that I have ever seen, where they accidentally make Optimus's entire body blue instead of red with the blue accents. Do y'all remember that?
Animation error common in G1. Heck, even me Grimlock suffered.
But hey, all this stuff was hand drawn back then. There was no computer CGI, or heck, even computer tablets that they could do 2D animation on. This was like hand on paper, right?
Hand on animation cell. Took months to make sure me Grimlock looked right.
Of course. So anyways, eventually Wheeljack and Ratchet and Spike and Bumblebee get the idea to reactivate the Dinobots and give them upgraded brains to make them smarter, though still... How should I say this so that I don't offend our current...
Careful with your words.
Okay. Smarter than the average dinosaur. We'll put it that way. And I like what Grimlock says in this episode as they're comprehending their orders. He says, "We do as told for now." Because
me
already
Grimlock practiced that line for hours. Look at script, read it over and over again, practice it different ways. Me Grimlock do as told for now.
Okay, out of character for a second. Do y'all remember that one College Humor Batman skit where Batman's trying to get the Batman voice down, and he starts with it being really high-pitched and squeaky, where were the other drugs going? Until he goes through all these different voices and blows his voice out and gets the classic Batman voice that we all know.
Me Grimlock do that voice. Me Grimlock.
I'm just having fun, Paul.
No, it's fine. I'm glad that you're doing this.
Me Grimlock there too.
Yes.
I agree, Rod. Definitely.
Yes. Grimlock ultimately respected Optimus. Now, I know there is an episode coming up where the Dinobots make their next appearance, where Grimlock outright challenges Optimus Prime to one-on-one combat over control of the Autobots. But for now, and going forward, yes, ultimately the Dinobots do respect Optimus Prime for the leader that he is. And the Dinobots, getting back to this episode, they show up and the Decepticons don't know what to do with them. Nothing that they throw at the Dinobots has any effect on them. Like,
Skywarp fires missiles, says heat-seeking missiles seek heat. They do nothing to Dinobot.
Exactly. Rumble tries to create an earthquake under Slag. Slag just makes a bigger earthquake and actually knocks his pile driver's arms off. And I like how he says, "No fair!" And ultimately, the Decepticons are forced to retreat, and Optimus, in one of his best lines ever in anything, Peter Cullen has ever voiced Optimus in. He says, sometimes even the wisest of men and machines can be in error.
And doesn't that remind you of a certain TNG episode where Picard says sometimes following orders
Yeah?
can be the wrong decision? I know I'm not saying it exactly, but Picard said sometimes following orders is one of the biggest mistakes you can make when you're going
Which
by your
episode
gut.
is this again?
I can't think of it right now.
Okay. But anyway,
Grimlock lost his voice.
Spoiler alert, Grimlock gets smart later on.
Yes, and he creates another set of combiners called Computron.
Technobots.
Yep. But anyways, though, this is still another easy 5 out of 5 for me. A great introduction to the Dinobots, and I look forward to seeing what they do with them from here on out. So, Cash and Crit, overall, any final
Crit?
thoughts?
What crit?
Ooh.
Oh my gosh! Did you hear that? That's it. Off the show. We're not
Make
going to do it
Grimlock
live.
take over
We're
the
turning
show.
it
Me off
off.
my own panel? I'm sorry,
Wow.
Big Grimlock
Wow,
insulted. Big Grimlock not
Yeah,
Orca.
seriously,
Big
man.
Grimlock T-Rex. Big Grimlock Dinobot leader. Me king.
Wow, dude. I don't know.
Wow, y'all got me double confused now because I wasn't
My
even sure
goodness.
who I was calling crits.
Oi,
I
vey,
even
oi,
have
I'm
it up
sorry.
there for you, Master Paul. Me Grimlock, big YouTuber.
He Grimlock.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Me no crit in chat.
Yeah.
Crit not on panel.
I know. He's gonna.
I'm gonna do it again, but
I'm gonna
yes,
be going into the VC later. I know he's gonna give me hell for it.
he might. He just might. Yes, these 5 episodes, and just like Transformers in general, it's all enjoyable. You got characters like Chip. He's more than just being in a wheelchair. You have characters like Optimus Prime. He's obviously a leader. You have Megatron. He's devious. You go
Me Grimlock.
down the list. You got Grimlock. Is the Dinobots are cool, so especially Grimlock, because Grimlock's here.
Cash smart. Cash knows to kiss up to me Grimlock.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah.
Good plot against good and evil, so that's never
Yes,
a bad thing. It
absolutely.
really isn't.
And real quick, Rod says, weren't the Dinobots friends of Metroplex? I forgot how smart Grimlock making the Technobots / Computron.
As far as them being friends with Metroplex, yeah, I think in a season 3 episode,
interesting.
There is something there. I know in season 3 they did have the Dinobots mostly on Cybertron instead of Earth.
I know, I just took away the fantasy of me being Grimlock by me using my actual voice.
It's all right. But yeah, overall, this is a great show. 5 great episodes.
5 out of 5. Say me Grimlock.
Yes. Let me just look real quick at where the next 5 episodes are going to take us. Let's see. Gotta go back to. Here it is. Where am I going? Okay, so the next 5 episodes after this is actually the 3-parter of the Ultimate Doom, War of the Dinobots, and Countdown to Extinction.
Word Dinobots introduces Swoop and Snarl.
Snarl, if I'm not mistaken, is a Velociraptor, right?
That'd be Dinobot in Beast Wars.
Okay. But Swoop is the pterodactyl.
Yes.
Well, on that, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night. Cash, Pacific, is there anything you guys would like to plug for each of your channels?
Me Grimlock get me link.
Okay.
And me Grimlock put it in the chat.
All right.
Don't worry, Paul. I won't do this next episode.
It's all right, man. It was still fun.
He says I know. Then later on, he's going to go, I'm going to find a way to destroy Pacific.
Yeah. I mean, I already know how to get under your skin. Just go play easy mode.
Me Grimlock no play on easy mode. Me Grimlock just smash.
Yeah. Like how
Stupid game.
Like how Grimlock and how you, Grimlock, and Cash got smashed by Satan and Broforce time after time after time after time.
Me Grimlock and Cash end up beating game. What are you talking about?
What? I mean, I was there, and I was part of the team that was...
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. So...
You were.
That's right.
Me
Cash,
Grimlock admit that.
Cash, anything you want to plug for the Booligans?
Cash back on Cybertron.
I had to vanish for a second. I'm back.
It's okay. I was just asking anything you wanted to plug real quick for the Phantom Booligans.
Hooligans. Listen to this guy. Listen to this guy, Grimlock. I think you need to eat him. Human tastes bad.
he tastes real bad. Me Grimlock could get indigestion.
Yeah. By the way, Nova Vaughn, hello, by the way, says Pacific sounds like Hulk if he was Canadian.
Me not
yes.
Hulk, me Grimlock.
Yes, this weekend I'm going to finally play some bolt gun, Warhammer 40k bolt gun. So I haven't set the time yet, but yes.
Nice.
And then maybe something else. It's possible it could be the death of Sonic, because I heard good things about that visual novel. So that could be fun, yeah. So we'll see. And what is going on with you, Grimlock?
Me Grimlock have Pacific 4 Pop Talk Sunday. And
Yes.
then I play more Jedi Survivor on Sunday.
Ah, yes.
And me Grimlock say to everybody watching, share out stream.
And
Yes.
hopefully, dude, it doesn't crash for you anymore.
Me Grimlock got problem fixed. Me just smash it.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, as for me, this Sunday, we're not going to have the normal, more open-ended discussion about a topic. I'm actually going to be dual streaming with Phil over on his channel, Release McCracken, where we'll be getting into part 2 of our review of the Kiss albums. We'll be focusing mostly on the 80s stuff. And tomorrow night, before that, I intend to stream some more Batman Arkham Asylum on hard mode.
Oh,
So-
really? I'll believe it when I
Yep.
see it. I'll believe it when I see it on the Phantom Olology. Yes.
Don't hurt yourself.
I won't. The Phantom Olology. What do you think? What do you think there, Prime? Phantom Olology?
Phantomology, let's be
Phantomology.
honest.
What's that
Phantomology
supposed to
doesn't
mean,
roll off the
Astron?
tongue the same way that the Phantom Booligans do.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. Well, we'll find something else better for it. But he said, Prime, he's going to actually play another round of Batman on hard mode. Do you believe him?
I do not believe him. Why?
Ah, yes.
Because he's a Decepticon.
Right.
And don't end the stream yet, Paul. I am sending
Soundwave
you something
surprised. You saw through my disguise.
Oh my god.
Paul, I will be sending you something real quick, so don't end the stream just yet.
Okay.
Just yet.
All right, that's fine.
All right. It has been sent. I think this is an appropriate way to end the stream.
All right, let me download this real quick and we'll get it inputted. Let's see. All right, it's uploading. Hurry up. Here we go.
Autobots, transform and roll out.
I think that's a good way to end the stream too. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will talk to you guys later.